I want to give a little bit of time over to your revision. Now, the exam advice is in the PDF, which is attached to the site where you'll find this video, and it goes over the nuts and bolts, if you like, of the formal examination advice, and that will tell you what the exam is going to be like, how it's going to be structured, and that sort of thing. However, I have a number of students who always come along and ask me for, secret hints or insights, or, a little leg up here and there to make life a little bit easier. Now, I'm not able to give further exam advice because that would be unfair to the rest of the class. I'm certainly not going to respond to personal emails that are asking for extra hints. Okay, so please don't ask me that. However, what I do want to do is give you some direction for your revision. And this is not actually exam advice, but if you like, it's sort of aimed at giving you some strategy help as to how to best prepare and best get the course all in proportion in your own mind, so you're able to do the best when you get to the exam itself. If you look at the exam, especially if you look at the past exams, you'll find that there's a bit of maths in them, and generally you'll see where that maths is coming from. Obviously, we spent something like a third of our course simply on DCF. Okay, it's expected by now, and after you following the hints and suggestions I've been making right from the first week, that you check all of your calculations with a financial calculator, that you'll be able to go into the exam and do some of the arithmetic that you find in the DCF, the different calculations and so on. You'll be able to do those with a financial calculator under exam conditions and be able to interpret the data. This is largely what you're going to be expected in practice when you're involved in property investment appraisal, because it's not always to be able to go off to a nice fancy Excel spreadsheet. You really need to be able to take whatever data you're given and to be able to come up with the answers that your clients or your boss or whoever are asking for. And so that's the kind of questions, kind of tasks that you're going to find in that mathematical section in the exam. If you haven't got a calculator, a financial calculator by now, please look seriously at getting one and learning how to use it. There are a number of different manufacturers and models of financial calculator. I've put up a video earlier in the term that goes over those that are current and representative. Now, it's impractical because for me to go over button by button how to use the financial calculators, because you'll find the Casios have different button locations and keystrokes and whatnot to the Sharp, and the Sharp is different again to the Hewlett-Packard, and there are two completely different operating systems within the Hewlett-Packards themselves. So, our job is not a TAFE to show you how to press buttons on a calculator. It's a university where we're expecting you guys to have the nous to be able to read the instruction book on your own financial calculator book or website or whatever it is. And you will find that there's a lot of support material for them. So if you buy yourself a Casio financial calculator, go onto YouTube and conjure up as much tutorial on there as you like. It's sometimes easier to follow. Students prefer it to the instruction book and so on. Or if you prefer the instruction book, we'll go for that. And likewise with the other calculators. Okay, don't get too fussed about the mathematics side, especially if you've been following through as suggested module by module, which is practicing those things as you go. By now you should be thoroughly familiar with the application of that magic factor, 1 plus I to the n, either multiplying or dividing it, for discounting and escalating and so on. That's about as hard as financial maths gets it, by the way. The main reason you need a financial calculator is to work out rates of return, which you can't work out by hand. But you'll probably find that that's only probably less than 5 or 10% of the financial calculations that people use. And that will be also represented in the proportions in the exam. Okay, let's move away from the scary area of mathematics, hopefully with enough advice for you to be able to get on top of that to your satisfaction and for professional practice. Let's move now to the rest of the exam, which after all is the majority of it. If you look at the past exams, you'll find that the topics change or the questions change, but the overall way that the questions are asked tends to be fairly similar, and that is that they all tend to be questions which one way or another are really asking you, tell me all you know about topic X. And that's to keep the questions fairly open and general. It's to invite you to write down on paper in your answers a general global understanding, broad brush if you like, of the various topics. Now there have been quite a few topics that we've gone through the course, not quite 12, because first third was really taken up by DCF, and from a theory point of view DCF is only one topic, it's not 4. There have been some other topic areas, things like the likelihood of the future reproducing the past, questions around what forecasting is really doing, about the methods of sensitivity analysis, about the question of land value and so on. If you look at the past papers, you'll find that those tell me everything you know about topic X kind of questions tend to be fairly general, and they tend to hit the the major themes, if you like, the major topics that have been in the course. And so as long as you have a general understanding of each topic, sufficient to be able to say something sensible and convincing, hopefully, about any particular topic, as might be on the paper, that will be sufficient to achieve a pass. Because a pass, after all, means that you have sufficient understanding to be able to be competent, to be able to conduct yourself competently in professional practice. Doesn't mean you're an expert or a leader in the field. To go for a credit, it means that you're showing a competent understanding, like a good level of competence, which means that you're going to have very few errors in what you say, and you're going to put a bit more detail into it, and it's going to have a bit of polish and vim and vigour in it. Okay, that's a credit. It doesn't mean that you have to know everything about it. It doesn't mean that you have to quote authors or put quotes in or go into great depth in the particular theories, but simply be able to show whatever you put on paper in a accurate way for as much depth as you choose to put in. To go further than the credit level is where you're going to be showing a very sound and deep understanding of the theories, maybe the authors who have written on them, maybe have quotes or illustrations or what have you that you can put in. And at that point you're showing a very strong mastery. Has to be error-free, and it has to be well presented, well articulated. So it's one thing to put an idea down on paper, that will get you a credit, but to get to a distinction, it has to be put down in a way which is very readable, if you like, and also reveal a familiarity with the literature. Literature in this case can be the recommended readings or the citations or what have you, the quotes, if you like, from the study guide. To get to the high D, that's really top of the tree. That's really a distinction with excellence. A high distinction level question will be very complete in its treatment. It will be precise. It will show a very good familiarity with the literature, and it will show a level of understanding which goes outside the square. Okay, to be able to draw in ideas or insights about the application or the theoretical implications or what have you. So that kind of goes through the levels of pass. I hope by going through these it gives you a bit of a feel for what's expected, and also gives you the capacity to be able to pitch where you want to go. I'm very aware that many of my students are extremely busy. Sometimes I find it almost overwhelming when I look at people that have got a full-time job, maybe looking after a family with a spouse which is working away from the home, and they're doing, a few subjects as well with CQU. I think, wow, how do you guys do that? I really admire your application, but I do realise that in those situations you really can't put in all of the bells and whistles and frills and tassels and what have you. You're after a pass, and I understand that and respect it. And so as a result, the pass level is really to show competence, basic competence at the professional level. If you are in that position, by the way, And I'm not saying that it's because of incapacity, it's because of, you're time poor ultimately. What I do recommend to you though is take away the resources that you have on the course. Take copies of the study guides if you haven't done already. Take down the URLs of the YouTubes and so on. And later on, come back to them when you're in your professional practice, and you may find that some of these questions, if you like, come back out again, maybe in professional practice, maybe for your own interest, maybe because you're thinking about getting an investment property or something. Go back to your books, go back to your notes and other resources. Okay, it means that we're not looking to have you totally on top of it as you do the exam. Okay, certainly you have to show that you're competent, but I do invite you to keep those materials, because you may find, in a few years' time or what have you, a situation might be different, and you may want to bring yourself up to that very high level. And by keeping those resources, it does give you that opportunity. Okay, that's a long way off. Right now, especially for those of you who are time poor, there's really a countdown going on till the exam, and so it's up to you largely to select what level you want to go for. If you've got the time and the interest to go for distinction or high D, that's fantastic. I really love reading work at that level. If you're looking for a credit, you've got an idea of what level to shoot for. If you're just in there to survive because you've got kids who are sick or what have you, then know that the pass is just there as a fairly achievable for people who have actually looked in and read the basic materials, followed through the core stuff. Okay, obviously if you haven't done any of that, it's going to make my job getting you through the course very, very difficult. And we also have to maintain kind of parity so we're not unfair to the rest of the class.